wonder why I'm sensitive to these sounds. Plant down and lotus in a tempted ground. Knowing if I fail to lift the veil, I'm hellbound. Journey through the fate of all the hate I found. Done laying out the layman's for these lames, big clowns. We can still throw down pound for pound if you choose to drag my name through the mud with no bounds. Scars go deep, but the passion can shift. Trying to find a balance between anger and bliss. Searching for my purpose when success is a myth. I thought I knew the gist of the plot, but it came with a twist. Had it all mapped out, but none of the pieces fit. Abandonment issues got me doing the split. Realizing I didn't really need what I wish. Got sick of getting tricked into giving the devil a kiss. Welcome to the side of hell. They got me under respect. Story to tell as soon as I break out of this shell. Welcome to the side of hell.
Good evening or good morning, wherever you're watching from, and welcome back to Portal to the Paranormal Vodcast. I hope everyone's had a great start to the year, had a great Christmas. I hope you're all been well. Tonight we're starting off with a bang. We've got a great guest joining us tonight, Ken Boggle. He has been part of the new series that is airing on Disney Plus, Living for the Dead. He's also a tarot card reader, psychic medium. So we're going to be finding out a lot more about Ken, how we got into the paranormal. But again, I just want to welcome everyone tonight, and I hope everyone's doing well. As always, if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask Ken, feel free to drop them in the comments and we will try our best to get through them. If not, I apologise, but what I'm going to do is bring on Ken now, and I hope everyone can give him a warm welcome. Hey, Ken, how you doing? Oh, your mic's on mute.
Typical.
Well, wait, let's start that again, shall we? Hey,
yeah.
Ken, how you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you. Again, thank you so much for taking time out to join us this evening and have a chat about yourself. Just before we do, there's a few people I just want to give a shout out that are joining us. We've got Abby. Hey, Abby, hope you're doing well. Siren, hey, how you doing? And my lovely wife is in the room, Sarah. Hello. She's only upstairs, but hello anyway.
Oh, hello, Sarah. Sarah upstairs.
But again, thank you so much for joining us.
Totally my pleasure.
Sarah, thank you for joining. How are you doing? So again, anyone's got any questions for Ken, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll get through them. But as I mentioned, Ken, you've come to surface for us over here. We've seen you on the new series of Living for the Dead that is streaming on Disney Plus at the moment. And we will go into that. I've got a clip of it as well that I will show. But before we go into that, what I wanted to do is find out a bit more about you before this. How did you get into the paranormal? How did you know that you had psychic abilities?
Oh, well, I grew up in a haunted house.
Wow.
I grew up in a terribly haunted house. It's split level. So the upstairs was like that, and the downstairs was underground. About 20 to 30 yards from the house was a graveyard. And essentially my room was on the same level as the graves. It was everything you need to make a perfect paranormal thing. Rushing water down both sides of the house, crossing power lines, terribly haunted. And I was visited every night by ghosts that would stand over my bed, spirits that would stand over my bed. And it's a horrific story, but I was losing a tremendous amount of sleep. And I went to see my gran, and she was very concerned. She's, I look pretty rough. And she said, the reality is that she's the same way, and that she would take me on board and she'd help me to learn how to deal with it. So to turn it on, to turn it off, how to protect myself, and how to get some sleep at night. Wow. So she kind of held my hand through that. And then I started with her learning how to do tarot cards. I started with poker cards, actually. And then from there, I started reading for friends and family. And then I got the opportunity. I had the opportunity to just start doing readings professionally about 10 years ago, maybe more. And I joined up and became a certified paranormal investigator with Patty Starr, who's a great pioneer of the paranormal here in Kentucky in the U.S. Iconic little lady. She's great. But I got certified to become a paranormal investigator with her. And that was 15 years ago. So I'm knee deep in it, babe. I've been in it for a long damn time. It's hard to really kind of make it, a seamless one path thought, because it's just like it's been my whole life. I can't think of a time that I wasn't communicating with spirits, and I don't know who I would be without shuffling a deck of tarot cards. I really don't know what my life would be like without those things.
And with the tarot cards, you're using your psychic abilities to use the tarot card. Is there does everyone use the tarot cards differently, or is there a set way that you're meant to use them?
I'm a traditionalist. I'm a traditionalist. I see kids to answer the question first. I think everybody reads cards differently, as they should. It should be a very individualized process. However, I see kids these days like throwing their cards and like shuffling and throwing them, and then whatever lands on face up, or I don't know how they do it. It gives me a total panic attack. I'm like, oh my granny would roll over in her grave if I went towards something so chaotic. I think everybody does it individual to who in a personalized way, and I think that that's great. Even if you are throwing them around, I don't know how you do that, but to me, it's a very conscious, involved, deeply personal thing that I do. As I'm shuffling the cards, I don't know if you can really see it in the show, but as I'm shuffling the cards, I'm investing myself in what I'm doing, and I'm investing myself in what the question is. And as I'm cutting them, and as I'm knocking, I'm really knocking on the door of spirit and trying to communicate with spirit, and or just the cosmic wisdom, or the whatever that your question might need me to do.
And with yourself, when you're building yourself up to do these readings and connecting with the other side, and also connecting with people that are having readings with you, do you have a process of how you get yourself prepared for it, like a routine that you have from the start of the day to the readings? What's your routine?
So I start every day with protection. Okay, so I teach psychic development as well. If you want to get on that, go to kenboggle.com, fill out a form. I teach personal one-on-one classes, and then I do them online and in groups. So I start every day with protection. So this is me praying to acknowledge my debt of gratitude to the deities, spirits, and energies that serve to protect us. And then I pray for their benefit, and that they be enhanced, that they advance, that they more widely prevail, so that I am better looked after. And that's how I start every day, and have for a long time, long time. And then before I go to do the readings, I always turn on psychically, and I tune in because I feel like spirit and that kind of a thing is a frequency, kind of like a radio, where you, back in the day, we used to have to like turn a knob to tune it in, get on the frequency. And then I receive. And then once I receive, and I usually do I do this full time, and I work 7 days a week. So as soon as I'm done, I shut down and I release through psychic baths, smudging, burning sage, or I prefer cypress because it's more of a protective thing to burn, and just a lot of self-care. Try to do as much self-care as possible.
And you say that you're doing this 7 days a week, like full time. For your mental state, like mentally, does it get to you like where it comes to a point where it's too much, or are you that focused now that you know how to deal with your mental state? Because it's got to take it out of you. Reading different people, reading different spirits, coming across different spirits. It's got to take a toll on your body, or are you that focused now that it doesn't affect you anymore?
No, I think it would be. I think it would be a tragedy if I wasn't somehow affected. because I want the people when I'm reading for them or just when I'm with them to understand that I am with them. That when you're going through something, I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. And we cry together. We laugh together. We always hug whenever we're done. That's another way that I release. Because when I hold somebody, when I hug somebody, I hold them, my heart as close to their heart as I can, and I hold them really tight to give back everything that they've given to me. So, I'm affected by it. Some days are harder than others. Yesterday was a very hard day. It affects my health more than anything. I find that the more involved I am in the paranormal and the more I do readings and the harder I work, the more run down my body becomes. So I'm now taking vitamins on a regular basis. And, I'm just trying to do the self-care piece and remember that I'm a human being as well as a light worker. So, but it affects me in a really deep way. Yeah.
So, totally like away from it, when you're not being Ken Boggle, the TV personality, psychic medium, what do you like to do in your spare time? Like, what is your sort of thing to get away from it all? Do you have like a particular hobby?
I love a little karaoke. I like a bit of karaoke.
Oh, you said it now. My wife will comment in a minute. I guarantee she loves their karaoke. So
yeah, I do.
Karaoke. That's great.
I like a little karaoke. I like to. I like to oil paint. I love to play music. I'm self-taught in every instrument that I can think of, and I like to watch British television, and not just. Oh my gosh, my love, you have no idea. I cannot get enough of Are You Being Served, Keeping Up Appearances, The Vicar of Dibley, Last of the Summer Wine. I just started Murder's Most Horrid for the 4th time. Finished it in 2 days. I love watching British television. That's My Boy with Molly Snugden. I love to just sit back and have dinner and let Mr. Humphreys and Mrs. Slocum have it out. That makes me so happy. It's really the way. It's the number one way for me to chill out. In fact, when we were filming the show, we were at the Copper Queen, and that's in Bisbee, Arizona. I was very unhappy about the room I was in, and it got really terrible. You can see that in the show. The spirit was not letting me sleep. And no matter how much I shut off. So I go up to Alex and I'm like, can we bunk together in this other room? Will you bunk with me? And she's, yeah, of course. So we go in and we do our facials and we do our masks and we wash it all off. And we put on our pajamas, which is basically what I'm wearing right now. And we climbed into bed. We slept back to back and we watched Are You Being Served? Over, like, just let it play. It was on the great big TV, and we slept the night away. One of the best experiences I had in the entire series, by the way.
Oh, wow. So I told you, Sarah said straight away in capital letters, she loves the karaoke. So, you two would be great together then, by the sounds of it.
May I ask Sarah a question? What is your favorite go-to karaoke song? Like, what is your hit?
Ooh, Sarah.
For me,
what's your favorite karaoke song, Ken?
I love to do. I love to do so many, but I love to do old country music, and I love to do like the Righteous Brothers, anything by Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. That you're on a winner there already. They're great.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing, and I mean, I am Fleetwood Mac. I used to hang out with Mick Fleetwood whenever he was in town. And I got to meet Stevie and played Lindsay's guitar. So, yeah, anything Fleetwood Mac is my favorite things. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And then Sarah's given a recommendation as well for English programs. I don't know if you've heard of it. Downton Abbey.
I love Downton Abbey. For my money, Maggie Smith is one of the most outrageously talented individuals that has ever walked the earth. I think that Maggie Smith is iconic. I think that she made the entire series. And I think that the man who did that, what was his name? Julian, it's escaping me. But Julian something or other, Weathers. I can't remember, but he also did a show called Monarch of the Glen, and
Okay.
that was on BBC, and it was a fantastic program. He's a great television writer and creator. The series is phenomenal. Downton Abbey, 2 thumbs up.
Wow. Yeah. Do you know what I loved about Downton Abbey as well? One of the big storylines was the storyline between Mr. and Mrs. Bates. You know,
Yes.
their love form, and then also one of the characters that I did like was what's the gentleman? He was a bit of a dopey guy. I can't remember his name now. He ended up with a lady at the end of the second
Oh
film.
yeah. What
what's
was his name? That was so long ago. Oh my gosh.
But do you know
my
what?
husband loved it. He loved Downton Abbey. I had to buy him the box set once for.
You know what? Sarah started watching it, and she was like, "Watch it with me," and I was like, "No, I'm not going to like it." Do you know what? I've watched it 3 times now. I've watched the whole series 3 times. So
Wow.
it's just, and you know, I've got to say, Maggie Smith's character, she was one of the funniest characters. Just the way she was, it was just like, it was funny. She did make me laugh.
There was a scene where she was sitting down to meet Matthew, and she sits down in his chair, and the chair was a swivel chair, and it kind of wobbled. And she said, what on earth is this? And he was like, it's a swivel chair. And she said, from America. And she says, why does every day have to involve a fight with an American? Just cracked me up. I think that she's so, and of course, she was really good friends with Kenneth Williams, who I think was a great pioneer in terms of camp humor. Yeah. And of course, he claimed asexuality, although there's reasons to believe that he would go off and to certain tropical areas and have relations, but he really encapsulated a lot of the LGBTQ plus. He really did. Right. So yeah, Maggie Smith's iconic. Anybody who kept company with Kenneth Williams had to be a good person. They had to be.
Yeah. Sarah's just replied to your question. She said her one is "Boom Shake the Room" by Will Smith, or "Waiting for a Star" to Fall Boy Meet Girl. So yeah, but Boom Shake the Room. I think she did that on holiday as well. I've got a video of her doing it, Ken. So if you want, I can send it to you afterwards, and you can see what she's like on the karaoke machine.
I would love that.
She is good.
Yeah, but okay it with her, please, first, because I'd hate to embarrass.
Oh yeah. Okay. I don't want to get myself into trouble. I do enough of that.
Sir.
So going through, again, speaking to people, connecting with them, your emotions, how, because sometimes you get stories. I've had readings before where they come up with stuff that no one should know, and it gets quite emotional. And I saw a medium, and he got very emotional as well. Do you have like readings where you get quite in tune and you feel the emotion and get upset as well, or do you teach yourself how to avoid showing your own emotions in your readings?
I get affected by all of the emotions, and I allow myself to experience it. I find resisting it actually is harder and requires more energy than just allowing it. So I allow those things to happen, which is why releasing at the end of the day is so important, and letting go of all those things. I will say the only time that I really try to hold back is when someone isn't facing the reality of their life, or when someone is trying to pull one over on me. I get really angry, and that's the only time I really try. I don't always succeed, but I try to kind of push myself back, just because I don't understand why somebody would want to sit down for a reading and then not be completely honest. I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to be completely honest in a paranormal investigation either. That happened in the TV show, which, by the way, they edited me to look a lot nicer about the situation than I was. A lot.
Oh, okay. So there was a different part of you then in that scene.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Well, I have all of the emotions. Yeah. But when I do a paranormal investigation, and you do this, it requires absolute honesty from everybody.
Yeah,
if you're
definitely.
Not, if you can't do a proper investigation unless everybody's being honest. And we were at the Scottsdale house. I discovered a series of truths or non-truths and some omitted truths. And I lost my goods. I actually went down the next day and I said, call the producers. I refuse to even brush my damn teeth or come out of my pajamas until somebody explains to me what we're actually doing here. Because if this chick says that she's had 30 years of experience, that's what I've had, and that she's a paranormal expert, she's been on all these podcasts, why the hell am I here? And I said, I'll wait right here for my answer. The showrunner called me. I lost it. And she said, Ken, well, wait a minute. Like, you're coming off really intense. And I was. So I had to reel it in. And that's usually the only time I ever have to do that is when I've become angry about something.
Wow. And it's great that you say, with the TV shows, because a lot of people say it's all staged. Like, you get the people that say it's staged. With you, do you guys get to say how you want to do things when you go into these investigations? And is it like they come to you, the producers, and say, well, Ken, tell us how you want to do this. How do you want this scene to be filmed?
This has been the most outrageously fantastic occupational experience I've ever had in my life for that very reason. They basically handed us keys to a camper van and said, ghost hunt. We'll film it. Now, there were certain things that you have to schedule. Like, you have to schedule witness interviews and you have to schedule when you investigate. And all this has to be done ahead of time. And we are made aware that we're going to talk to witnesses. We are made aware that we're going to be investigating. We weren't always aware of what location. They kept the fact that we were going to a clown motel very secret from me. And it turned out to be the first episode. And I did not do well.
Before we go into that side of it, what I want to do is just show everyone the video clip that I've got of Living for the Dead, and then we can go into it. So what I'm going to do, everyone, I've actually got is the intro of Living for the Dead. As I said, it's on Hulu TV, and then if you're watching from the UK, you can actually stream it now on Disney Plus, and all the episodes are on there. But let me just play everyone the clip, and then we'll get some more questions about the TV show.
We've come back to try and find out who's really here. We've come back to try and find out who's really here.
For some reason, it is not working. Okay, that hasn't worked, so we'll skip that bit then. For some reason, it is not allowing me to play the video. So the video sort of gives an introduction of, the group, who's in the team, and Ken being your tarot card reading and things like that. Before we talk about the actual TV show, your readings and the paranormal investigation, do you have to, and excuse the example I'll give, but two different sort of investigation hats, one for your readings, one for the investigations? Like, do you have to have a different kind of attitude when you go into a paranormal investigation?
You absolutely have to. I think, do you want to hear kind of my process? Would that be too much? Would that be
no, tell us. Yeah, so we sort of know your process of what you do when you're going for your readings, but what's the difference when you go to a paranormal investigation?
So the first thing that I like to do when I go into a paranormal investigating, let's just say like a hospital or someone's house, the first thing I like to do is walk the whole place. I like to record what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. Then I like to do a good baseline reading of everything. Like, what is the average temperature? Where are there EMF spikes? If so, where are they? What are the contributing factors to that? Also to check for like any sort of places where there could be noise pollution. Like I'm here next to a great big window. Doubtlessly, you're going to hear people talking. It's not a spirit; it's somebody outside. And then when that's over, I like to use the tarot cards to see, is there a spirit there? If so, why are they there? What are their motivations? What are their intentions? And then you go back through and do evidence review. Wow. And for my money, I don't think that you can do it all in one day. I think it has to be over the course of several days, maybe a week. There's a theory of that Ed and Lorraine Warren, who have mixed reviews, but I respect a lot of what they did. for the industry. They believe that in order to get a true understanding of a place's paranormal status, that you had to be there for more than 28 days. And it
Sarah's
birthed
on
the
the same
TV.
page as you. She just put 28 days on there as well.
28 days. I love Sarah. We could be buddies. But, when I was growing up and watching Most Haunted with Yvette and Carl and Phil Wyman, he and his wife, Sarah, they're great people. I love Phil and Sarah. There was a lot that they kind of showed me about paranormal investigating. One should never watch TV and say, oh, that's how you paranormally investigate. No, what you should do is you take the inspiration, pull from it whatever you can glean in the way of ideas, and then go actually take a paranormal investigating course with somebody who has really got the history, who is they themselves have a seeking spirit, and to go from there. I think that's the ultimate way to do it. But yeah, that's my whole paranormal investigating technique, and it has served me very well for a long time.
Oh, that's brilliant. And with this said, when you're you're stepping into the TV industry, it is a lot different than doing it behind closed doors. You build trust with people, but being on TV, you're opening yourself up for all kinds of people, and what do you say to the people? Because I'm sure you've had it like everyone else has had it, the negative side of it, people saying you're fake, it's fake. How do you deal with that when you're working as hard as you can to provide true investigations, true readings? How do you deal with that negative feedback, when people come at you and don't take the time to really know who you are, but they judge you straight away?
Right. I accept it as human nature. I don't let it get to me. And here's reality. I actually have a harder time with the positive comments.
Really?
It hits me really differently. Like, I don't feel worthy of the overwhelming kindness and adoration that people have. I feel humbled by it to the point where, if like there was a lady who wrote me and said that her daughter had attempted to take her own life by swallowing a bottle of pills, that she was in observation at the hospital and mom was there for like a family day or something. And she took one of those Roku players and plugged it into the TV, and they watched TV together that day, and they picked Living for the Dead. And she wrote me and she said, my daughter asked, could you please get in touch with Ken and tell him that I think if he can make it, I can make it. If he's been through what all he's been through, I can too. I went to pieces. I fell apart. How could you not? Here's this 13, 14-year-old girl who doesn't want to live anymore, and she wants her mom to write me and talk. Please, I will say this though. There was one comment that was negative that it didn't upset me, but I found it so because it was just so funny. The guy said, Living for the Dead is a great television series. I absolutely loved it, except for the one guy who every time he walked into a scene ruined the whole damn thing. And he was just a tarot card reader.
Wow.
And as we said, and he was just a tarot card reader. And I mean, I just always write back, my apologies. I'll try to do better next time. And I mean, because I always try to do the very best I can. I think anybody who's worth their salt does the best that they can. You won't please everybody. There's no way to please everyone. You could drive yourself mad trying to do that. And but I did say this. I did say that I had counted up all the negative comments, and I had a lot less than I thought I would. I did. I had a lot less than I thought I would, and because there wasn't that many, it was actually it's rare, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, the positive comments are a lot harder for me to take than the negative ones.
And even with that, since being on TV, what's people like? Even people that have they treated you different? Or you were telling me a story behind in the green room before we started. I don't know if you want to share that with everyone, but I thought that was quite amusing.
Yeah.
But what's it been like for you since Living for the Dead has aired? How have people acted around you now that you've done this series?
Even people that I've known for a very long time have started to treat me differently. And I mean, the effect that the show has had on my life in general, positive, beautiful, and wonderful. Very grateful. But people have started to treat me differently. People I've known for years acting strange. There's a lot of we talk. We've worked very hard to get here. We're ready for season 2. We're going to do, and you're like, are you? Because I you might be, but you certainly didn't work half as, you know what I mean? Like we're in the same, we're not in the same boat, but we're on the same lake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then people have this thing where they like to, as I was saying to you in the green room, they have this thing where, I guess because I was so open and I was so open about my emotions and so vulnerable, that people would, they touch me a lot and they hug me a lot, which I'm really okay with. They'll touch and hug me and they'll pet me. But, you know, I had one lady rub on me for about 15 minutes and ask me the most asinine questions, and I couldn't handle it. But it was New Year's Eve this year. I was asked to go out with a group of friends, and I was very apprehensive about it. But when I went, there was a bunch of people I didn't know. But the particular couple was sitting at the end of the hibachi grill, because we had went to a hibachi restaurant. And they screamed out at the end of the table. They said, aren't you on living with the dead? And I said, yeah, I'm on living for the dead, yeah. And they stopped everybody. They're like, wait a minute, everybody, wait a minute. Do you know we're sitting here with a celebrity? Do you know who he is? They stopped the hibachi grill cook. Wow. And this fella's from Japan. They stopped him and they're like, don't you know who you're cooking for? Stop. Look who you're cooking for. And it got really awkward. So I thought the best thing I could do was diffuse the situation. So I said, okay, folks, let's go ahead and get it out in the open. Let's all talk about it. Let's clear the air and get it over with. I am BAFTA award-winning actress Judi Dench. And I thought that's great. Because I just thought it was a great way to diffuse it. And who doesn't love Judi Dench? Like, who doesn't love Judy? Judy. Yeah. So anyway, it's been different. Lots of people, like I was at a bar watching, we did a show here in America called Watch What Happens Next, or Watch What Happens Live. And it's a 30-minute program. I was sitting at the bar trying to watch it. And this girl just kept rubbing me. And she was like, so have you always worn black? Who picks out your hat? I'm like, I've known you for 6 years. Like, I've always worn a bowler or a black fedora. I always dressed it. Like, these are my actual... Nobody dressed me. And she just made it so uncomfortable that I actually didn't even get to watch the whole show. I left 15 minutes in. The bartender got my tab and I left the bar and just went home, and it was like, why do people have to be so weird, you know? So yeah, it has its positives and its negatives.
And how have you dealt with that side of it, with the treatment? Because it must make you a bit nervous in a way, or maybe, you know, in a mental way, like you're still the same person that you've always been. You've just appeared on TV. But how do you deal with that? You know, people treating you different. Do you just say to them, look, I'm still me? Do you like sort of have to, or just brush it off and deal with it?
Honestly, I'm not the same me. I don't understand when people say that. How can you go from being nobody to being peak? How do you go from being, it's not like let's say the queen or the king. You're born as this. You live as this. I was born in a holler in southeastern Kentucky. You know, then I go from the holler to Hulu. I used to have a Mickey Mouse doll. I've never even been to Disney. Now they're my boss. And also you travel. I traveled for 4 months with these 4 people going to some really insane places. And the experience of that changes you. I changed. But the reality is I also developed a little bit of social anxiety over it, because I'm afraid that I will let people down. So if you're overly loving about it, it just goes in a file folder marked, this is another person I will let down. And it terrifies me and it breaks my heart. And I've noticed that anytime I walk around town now with my bowler hat and my black that people will stop in traffic or people will honk their horns or they'll follow me through the grocery store. So I have taken to wearing like baseball hat, take off the glasses, hoodie, that kind of thing.
So keep it low key.
Yeah, incognito we call it.
But I think what is lovely about you that you can, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to anyone, but there is some people out in the field that they let it go to their head and they forget, you know, and you're still very humble. You're still very, doing this with me. I appreciate, because you're taking your time out. So it shows that, you still have that great side to you because you're able to do what we're doing tonight, which is great.
Well, and you have see back in the day, I used to be a podcast host. There used to be a podcast called Ken Boggle. It no longer exists. I saw to that. I saw to that. However, or having said that, rather, it to me means a lot that you even would like to have me on, and I'm so positive to the people in the UK, to the people of England, and to the Welsh, and I'm very positive about that because you all have always been very welcoming to me. There was a day that I was more popular in Mold, Wales than I was in Kentucky. So I'm grateful that it means a lot to me. But it brings to mind a story that when I was really becoming overwhelmed with the messages that were coming through, my phone was just constantly, I had to charge my phone twice a day.
Wow.
And leave it on overnight. So it was pretty hard. And I just said, I'm overwhelmed. And then the next thing I knew, we were a billboard in New York, like a 40-foot billboard in Times Square. And then we're a billboard in 4 different places in Los Angeles. And I just sat there dumbfounded. And one of my friends said to me, don't worry, it'll all become normal. And I said, it shouldn't. This should never be normal. This is not normality. Like living this life, having a plane, having a chauffeur pick you up to take you to a plane, and then you catch another plane, and then you get chauffeured to an interview that's in Los Angeles or an interview that's in New York City, and that's not normality. That's not normal. And I think the reason people I think that's how people let it get to their heads is they say, oh, this is what I am now. Absolutely not. You can be the darling today and nobody tomorrow. Don't ever forget that. So stay humble and stay grateful and do your best to ride the rails between those two lots.
And I think, just something that I caught over Christmas that Ken did, and it just shows how humble and how he's about his followers. Over Christmas, Ken did a live where he was reading a book for children, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And me and my son, my younger son, caught it. We caught it and we sat and watched it. And it was the way you sort of presented it as well. It was like, yeah, get your kids, everyone get ready to read. And you sat there and read a children's book. And the way you read it was absolutely brilliant. The enthusiasm that you had, but it was just so nice to see someone that will still try and connect with their followers, and you really took pride in reading that book as well. It was great. It was lovely to see.
I do it every year. That was our 6th year doing it because every year I ask for people to donate to Toys for Tots or to donate to families who are dealing with addiction and recovery, to just anybody who's down and out. You're struggling, yeah. And as a thank you, sometime close to Christmas, I usually read How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And I've done it now for 6 years. And it brings me such joy. I remember children that started, when I started reading the book at Christmas time, who were just little babies. And now they're in 1st grade or 2nd grade. It's crazy. Yeah, and you look at these kids that came when they were 8 years old, and now they're almost ready to get through high school. It's like, are you kidding? Like, it's a wonderful thing for me too. I take a lot of joy in it.
And just to ask as well, because you mentioned about your husband earlier on, if you don't mind me asking, How does your husband, when you're going through these emotions, different things, how does he cope with it? Because it must take a toll out of your husband as well. Seeing you go through these different like new emotions, dealing with this new stuff with the TV. How
Right.
does he cope with that? Is he
Well,
just there to support you, or does he find it hard as well?
we've been divorced now for a long
Oh,
time.
sorry.
Yeah, but I did have a boyfriend, a partner that kind of was there before I got the show, or brought onto the show, and then through the whole process. His name is David. We've since broke up, but he could tell you that there were times that I was so petrified to let people down, or to hurt someone, or to say something wrong or do something wrong, or that it was all going to go away in a heartbeat, that it was all just going to stop, and that I was in a terrible emotional state for a long time. And then the worst of the worst was when the show was over. When we finished season 1 and I came home, and there was no Alex, there was no Logan, there was no Juju, there was no Roz to make you laugh. And I missed them so badly that I went to this very sofa and I didn't come off for a month and a half. I mean,
Wow.
I gained 30 pounds like that. I I fell apart. So he was there to kind of be like, okay, let's get up, let's go shower,
Yeah.
let's knock the dust off, and uh, tried to make things normal for me. Uh, he I think a lot of people in my life try to make things as normal for me as possible now, and that's not always easy to do. I think when you have somebody who's going through an experience that you can't possibly conceive of, it's hard to
Mm.
support them. But all my friends and family have tried really, really hard, and I'm so grateful they have. I don't know. I don't know really what I did to deserve all these great folks, but I'm glad whatever I did because they're amazing people.
Yeah, it's always good to have the right support. But I think again, it's just like what happens to the other side with family, partners, and things like that. Because they go through that process with you, don't they? In a way, because they see the
Yeah,
changes that you're going through.
yeah.
Which is crazy. Sarah's put in there amazing achievements, Ken. You've worked hard to get to where you are, and you are very kind and humble. Kiss, kiss. Um,
See,
so
that's the kind of thing that makes me. I thank you, Sarah. I hope. I
But I
hope.
think it's the way I think people can connect because it's the way you present yourself. You are very, light spoken, and you're very kind with the way you speak. And like I said, doing the readings and find that you've been doing this over the 6 years, the story over Christmas,
Yeah.
it's just great. And like I said, we were watching, and the way you were reading it, it was like you're really in that book, and it was just great. We enjoyed it anyway, so.
Good.
Um,
Thank you for watching that. That means.
it was fun to watch. But going back to the paranormal side of things, then, you have your own sort of technology, which is yourself, your brain, the way you think, the way you hear things, or the way you connect. What's your thoughts when they're putting out like the REM pod and they're putting out their equipment? Do you go with the equipment, or do you feel different when it comes to when they use paranormal technology?
I love all of it. See, the way I approach it is, if you come to a paranormal investigation with respect and a seeking spirit, you have room with me. There's always room
Mm,
next to me. There's some bits of equipment that I'm not quite sure about. I think we can all agree that there's a couple of apps that
yeah.
are kind of dodgy. I think there's some equipment that maybe needs more work, or maybe needs more time to be proven. But REM pods, millimeters, K2s, EMF detectors, as such, uh, these things are great. So I think it would I think I would be cutting my nose to spite my face if I turned my back to those kinds of things or felt indifferently about them. I think in a paranormal investigation there has to be room for all of it. There has to be room for all of it. Yeah.
That's great. Samantha's just put a comment in there. Well done, kind sir. And may I say, that's a fabulous hat.
Thank you very much.
So,
So this, I have to show you. Can you see it?
yeah.
So this was actually made for me by a lady who took 2 different pieces. It was like a spoon and an English crown, and she welded it together, and she made this amazing thing for me. And I've worn it now for 15 years, and it's my nod to England. And so is the bowler. It's my nod to England because I so love the people and how welcoming they've been to me from the very jump. So
You need to come over here with us then and do an investigation with us.
I would love to do a show called Boggle Does Britain.
That would be great.
I would love to do that. That'd be great.
Great. And going back to Living for the Dead, different characters. Did you know them all before the show, or is it something that you come into the show and met them before it aired and things like that before you started filming?
Yeah, we didn't really know each other. I think some people knew of the others, but we didn't really know each other or have a strong history together. So we all met at the chemistry test, and it went from, I think it was so many thousands of people to just 12. And then it went from the 12 to 7. So when the 7 of us came back from the chemistry test, we got on a group chat thread, and we started to kind of build camaraderie.
Yeah.
And then it was about this time last year that they called and said, "Get ready, we're going to film. You're on it. You're one of the 5." And then the 5 of us started a whole new thread of texting, and immediately, I think it was that night or the following, that we all started FaceTiming each other and playing, just talking and engaging. And so for about a month before we ever filmed, we were already face to face, so through a screen, but still. And then boom, we started living together. and the executives, when they watched the show, it's told that all the big executives said, "How long have these people been living together? For how long have they known each other?" Because they get on so well. And the truth is, it's just the magic of having 5 totally unique individuals come together to form a team where each person is as important, as talented, and is as respectable as the next.
Wow, that's amazing. Because when you watch it, it does come across that you lot have known each other for a long time. When you have the scary moments, everything, and you're so well connected with each other as well. It does come across that you guys have been friends for ages.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you've only been friends for a small space of time, which I think that's what made the show even better as well. And I said this in the back room when we were talking, it was just that connection that you all had with each other. It was just like you've been friends for ages. It's great.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I just think how incredible. I always say we all look like we're so different, and we all look like we're all going to parties, but they're all different parties. Yeah. I'm going to some kind of a Victorian Gothic thing. Alex is going to a emo goth vampire rave. Roz is a go-go dancer down at the birdcage. And Juju is this great voodoo priestess. Logan looks like a GQ model and just a bubblegum beauty. And I don't know how on earth we all manage. I don't know how it works, but I think just because we're genuinely, each of us are pretty good people.
Yeah, I think it was great to watch. Sarah has asked a question. And this is the way Sarah talks, is, Ken, what is the worst poop your pants moment on a paranormal investigation? The most scariest experience that you've had? So in the show, you did some well-known places like the Clown Motel. What was there a scariest moment that you had that even shook you up?
In the show, I would say the Clown Motel was the worst.
It does look a bit freaky when you go in, especially in the shop bit, and he's got the clowns everywhere. Like,
They're
and
my big
it's
fear.
the eyes. It's the eyes as well.
It's all of it, babe. It's all. I hate all of them, but when you're surrounded by there are 2,000 clowns in that space. Clowns are a big fear of mine. So when you are in the dark, blindfolded with a headset, complete sensory deprivation, and you're asked to communicate with the dead at the same time, and you're also being circled by what seems to be the shadow of a 7-foot clown, one can't help but lose it. I mean, that's a nightmare. Like, that's a nightmare. It's just terrible. Terrible.
And what about away from the TV show? Have you had the scariest paranormal experience away from the TV show that you can recall, that you would be happy to chat about?
Yeah. When I was younger, it just dawns on me now that I'll turn 40 in 22 days. It's so insane. When I was younger, I was pretty arrogant, I would say, about going and doing paranormal investigating. I didn't really follow the procedures as well as one should because I didn't know them that well. But I knew very well to protect myself and to treat spirit with respect at this time. I just was so, at that moment, I was arrogant about it. And I went to this friend's house. I was about 16 years old at the time. By that point, I was already living in my own apartment because my parents let me go because I was gay. And so I was already an adult, going to school, had my own apartment at 15 and 16 years old. And my partner brought me back to the apartment. And that night, I woke up and there was a shadow in the corner that looked like a Dementor. Really, it was just like black, and it moved like plasma, and it was lurched in the corner of the apartment, like a spider. And it came down the wall. It came up to the bed. It went up through the sheets. It didn't move the sheets, but I could feel it.
Mm.
And then the next thing that I'm told happened is that my partner at the time said that my back went, that I've raised up out of bed vertebrae by vertebrae like that. Like he said, like a roller coaster that was clinking. And I then blacked out. He said I twisted from the hip and looked him in the face, and then I sighed, like a really deep sigh, which is a hot, it's hot. He said it was ice cold. Then he said I flipped back around, and that's when I woke. That's when I came back to, was I was sitting up in tears.
Wow.
And then I felt like this hand inside of my body, grabbed my lumbar, my lower back, and whipped me like this. And like I went forward, I went back, I blacked out. I woke back up, I came back to. He was on the phone with his grandmother, who was big in the Pentecostal church. And she was on her way over with some women. They were going to bless the house. They were going to do a deliverance for me. And it was horrible. It was horrible. That is the most intense, scary thing I have ever experienced in my life. Ever. And I've only ever come that close to it again at the Copper Queen. That's it. But Juju immediately recognized it. She
dealt with it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
But for yourself then, when we think about the paranormal, a lot of people, I don't know if I believe in this when people go into demonic entities, I sort of think of it when I'm in a paranormal investigation. If something happens, there could be a lot of reasons that it's happening. One, if it's something like something suddenly bangs, it may not be something that demonic. It could be that someone's just annoyed that we're invading their space. But what's your thoughts when it comes to demonic entities? Because that's one thing that you hear quite frequently when you're watching TV shows, is that a lot of the stuff is reverted to demonic entities. Now, your thoughts on that, being a psychic medium, where do you sit with demonic entities? Are they real? Are they quite common, or is it very rare to come across something like that?
They are relatively rare, but they exist. Sorry for all the noise outside. I don't know what's happening. I don't hear it. They are rare, but they are real. And I tried to explain it like this. There are real angels, real people on earth in flesh and blood, real angels on earth. But we can all agree that there are also some flesh and blood demons and devils too. People who take your life and take your joy and take your spirit, your light. And it's the same thing on the other side. It's the exact same thing. There are great spirits, and then there are very dark spirits. And there are, in rare cases, inhuman spirits, spirits that have never walked the earth as a human being. And they do take possession of people. They do change you. They change your behavior. They drain you. They use you. You become void.
Yeah.
Void. And I've seen it, and I've witnessed it. I don't think that, in the story I was saying earlier, in my experience, I don't think I was possessed, but I feel like if that is anything close to it, well, I'd rather not. I'd rather not ever get that close to it.
Something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the important thing to do in those situations is to remember that the reason devils exist is because they're jealous of the fact that we are God's greatest creation. And that means that they're intimidated by us. So what we have to do is we have to take ownership of our power. And we have to say emphatically that they're not welcome. And we have to cast these things out. I do believe that. Because I've seen it. I've seen an elderly woman have to be held down by multiple men. I've seen her character go from very positive to demonic. And the things that come out of her mouth to be so vile that if she was present, she would be sickened over. And let's say that it is a mental illness. Let's just say that it is a mental illness. And I find that exorcism is the greatest cure for it. If it is mental illness, exorcism is the greatest cure for it. Both in places and people, I find exorcism in various cultures to be effective. Most, I don't know why, but most effective I find to be the Roman Catholic ritual. Even though I don't even identify as Catholic. I'm a Buddhist who grew up with Christian foundations. I believe they're real, but they're rare.
And talking about religion, does that play a part in what you do? Like, do you rely on your religion to get you through, what you're doing in the paranormal? Because with Catholics, one thing that, they tell you what you should believe in. I'm Catholic, so I'm speaking from experience.
Okay, good. I was a little worried that we might get in trouble.
No. This is from experience. When we used to go to church, they would tell you what you need to believe in. This is this, this is that. And the things that they said was a sin. Growing up now, I don't believe it as a sin. And when me and my wife wanted to get married, the priest didn't want to marry us because we had kids already, because he saw it as a sin, and it made me question, my faith in the Catholic Church, but things that you've gone through, does it not question like do you like your religion? Is it something that is a big part of your life, or does it question because people say different things? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to
absolutely
say.
But the short answer is yes, my religion plays a huge part of it. But my religion is not religion. My religion is, I have studied nearly every aspect of any religion that's ever been brought to me. And sitting on my windowsill is the Quran, is the Torah, is the Holy Bible. It's like every single thing, the Lotus Sutra, like everything. I have cherry picked what I find to be the ultimate truth, which is that we're here to get through it together. And that as long as we are good to each other, then there's hope. That's as long as we love. I say my religion is this, and I say it all the time. I know it sounds hokey, but forgive me. My religion is live with mercy in your hands, live with forgiveness on your lips, and live with love in your heart. That is my only religion. And but there's different little rituals and things that I do. I definitely use prayer quite a lot, both Christian prayer and Buddhist prayer, quite a lot, every single day. So I wouldn't say that I'm a religious freak, but I am definitely the kind of person who takes it seriously.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. So you've gone with aspects of it, and then you put the bits that resonate with you. That's what you're using to get you through.
But doesn't everybody look at people who are so staunch about the Bible, and they'll sit there and they'll judge. Let's say they'll judge homosexuality. In the Bible, it's very clear. There's multiple references to it. Some people say, "Oh, it's misunderstood," or they say that. Who cares? Just point is, there's reason for those people who believe that theory and that religion that's bad. That homosexuality is bad. But these are the same people that will turn around and gossip, judge, hate, be nasty, be selfish. And these are great sins the same. These are all the same. You know, they call themselves Christians in any aspect of that, Episcopalian, any kind of Catholic. But yet they're acting very un-Christ-like. So my thing is always if they can cherry pick, I can too.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I'm not going to cherry pick out of one book. I'm going to cherry pick out of all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
And as it's just been put, Sarah's just put in the comments, love is love, no matter what sex. So, and I think that's a fair comment.
Love is love, no matter what gender. And I think that we're coming to a place where gender is fluid. Sexuality is fluid, and I don't think that it is important anymore to label it. I just don't. I think if you've got two consenting adults who aren't hurting other people, let them do what they want. Go for it. Just don't hurt anybody or anything else. That's it.
No, that's the thing. Is with any relationship, just be happy with what you want to be. Yeah. And what I say to people as well, because I do a podcast based on mental health, is don't be too quick to judge before you've looked in the mirror. You know, because people are quick to judge on other people, but they don't want to look at themselves and their wrongdoing. So, but that's what I say to people.
I agree with you totally, and I think that's a great way to be. If you don't want judged, come sit next to me. I've got room at my table. Just bring respect. Bring respect, and we're good.
Definitely. I just want to say, Ken, it's been absolutely brilliant getting to know you tonight. Talking about a lot of things. Actually, it's lovely that we've actually gone off subject and talked about programs on TV and and this last bit as well. But what I do want to do is, again, just a quick shout out. If you haven't seen Living for the Dead, it is airing on Disney Plus right now. It's streaming on there. I think there's 8 episodes in total. They're all up ready to watch. So if you're watching in the UK, you can stream it on Disney Plus, and I believe it is on Hulu TV as well. Is that right?
It is on Hulu. Yep.
So it's on Hulu. But just in case someone wants to reach out to you, Ken, and have a reading with you, can you just give everyone a bit of a shout out to where they can find your social media platforms? Sure.
So if you would like to get a reading, go to kenboggle.com, all one word, KenBoggle.com. Click on the readings page, fill out the form. If you'd like for me to give you classes to teach you tarot or to teach psychic development, fill out the form. My assistant named Mary, who is amazing, she will get in touch with you. She'll get you on my books. If you want to follow me on social media, just Google Ken Boggle, and it'll take you everywhere. It'll take you absolutely everywhere.
His profile picture is a lovely picture with his bowler's hat on.
Yeah, so it looks just like that.
Yeah, a bit serious. Yeah, I like that. A bit of the serious way. But yeah, so definitely go over. I have put all of Ken's social media platforms and his website in the description. So if you want to go into the description, please head over. Ken does some lives sometimes, and it's just all fun and it's just great to watch. So if you want to go and watch Ken, please head over to his page and definitely show your support and follow him, because he does do great. And and then next Christmas, put a reminder, watch Ken's story time, because it is fun.
We'll be doing that. It's still up now. If you feel like you want to watch it, it's still there.
I think next year though, you need to dress up as Santa with the Santa hat on.
Brother, have you ever been in a Santa costume? It is so
Yes,
hot.
I
It is,
did.
ugh.
We did a psychic medium night for a Christmas special event, and I actually bought a full Santa costume with the beard and everything. Within 5 minutes, I thought I was going to pass out. It was so hot, and I wore it for about 2.5 hours.
Oh gosh, it's awful. I thought this year I was like, I'll just put the Santa hat on. No, it's made of fur, like faux fur, but it's
Yeah,
just too much. Yeah. But listen, I want to say thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for to you and to everybody in your area. I can't thank the people. I can't thank you all enough. You've influenced me as a person. You've influenced me in the way I am. I I admire you all, and I'm grateful that so many of you have followed me for as long as you have. Thank you all. That's very
it
kind.
is. It's been great to watch what you've done on TV, and then, as I said, watching you on your Facebook page. And it would definitely be something I would love to get you back on in the future and
Oh
do
yeah,
like a catch-up show with you, and see what's going on, because I know you got potential things in the pipeline that we can look
yeah,
forward to that you can't talk about, but there is stuff going on in the background.
yeah.
So we would definitely like to welcome you back on in the future, and see how things are going with you, Ken. To be
I
honest.
would love that. I would love that. Take care, and Sarah, I'll see you at the karaoke pub.
Yes, we'll arrange a virtual karaoke if you want. She would love that. But
I
I'll
love
let
that.
you go. I'll let you get on, Ken. Thank you again so much
Thank you,
for
my friend.
being part of tonight. But we'll let you get on, and we'll speak to you real soon.
Take care, my
Take
friend.
care.
All right, bye bye.
What an absolute great start to 2024. Portal to the Paranormal Podcast. Ken, as you can tell, is such a nice guy. Really happy-go-lucky person, and we're really excited to have him back on in the future. But again, if you want to go and watch Ken, you can catch him on streaming on Disney Plus, Living for the Dead. All 8 episodes are on there. And do you know what? If you want to watch something, a paranormal investigation with fun, that is what you want to watch. So definitely head over and give that a watch. Again, Ken's all his social media platforms are in the description, so also go and give him a follow and watch what he does away from the TV as well. But I just want to thank everyone who has taken part this evening in questions and watching. We always appreciate everyone. Uh, so it's great to see you all. Blue Sky Lisa, thank you. Maria, all of you, Marie Truman, all of you. It's great to see you in the room. With Portal to the Paranormal, we will be putting a list up of investigations throughout 2024. We have got more to add on soon. So if you want to join us, head over to our webpage, portaltothe.paranormal.co.uk. But we will be back soon with another podcast. So I hope to see you all soon. But for now, enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we'll catch up with you soon. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye and have a lovely evening.